Hello, my name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and welcome to Soulivity Weekend. We have such a great show for you today. I had the chance to interview Beyond Words' latest author, LON. We talked about her newest book, Modern Merlin, which is all about uncovering and unlocking the magical powers that exist within all of us with practical steps, guidelines, and a whole bunch of tools. You are not going to want to miss this interview. And then later, Soulivity TV's and magazines own D'Angelo Thompson, our resident beauty expert, is going to be talking about how to take care of your skin and make it part of your regular wellness practice that everyone needs. So you don't want to miss any of these great segments in our show today. So let's get to it. Enjoy. Lon, it is so good to have you on Soulivity Weekend. I am so glad you're here. Your book is amazing. Modern Merlin, uncover your magical powers. I haven't had a fun read like this in such a long time. Like fun,
Oh,
and no disrespect to the books that I've read before this, because I loved all of them. Um, Brenna at Beyond Words will probably get on me for that, but um, no, but it's a fun read because we're talking about magic. We're magic. When I was a
right.
kid, I was enamored in magic. There's like pictures of me doing magic shows.
I
And
bet. I
yeah,
bet.
and so it's fun, there's practicality in here, there's basic steps. Um and I think everybody is kind of fascinated in the magical kinds of things about life and living, this mysteriousness, but this wonder, right?
Absolutely.
Um um I want to begin talking to you about this by saying, what do you want all of us to know about magic and this magical state of living?
Ooh. Well, first of all, Brian, thank you so much for inviting me to come on the show today. I am incredibly excited to be here with you. Magic. I think it's the same as what you were saying. I think as a child, children live in such a magical world, and magic gives us the idea of that anything is possible, that we are unlimited, that we can create
Right.
anything that we can imagine, right?
Right.
So our belief in magic helps us to believe that things can change. If we wouldn't have magic, we would kind of be stuck with what we have,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And a good way of defining magic is magic is nothing more than the things that we can experience, but we don't really have a good explanation for them, right? We
Okay.
haven't really caught up. Like science often has not caught up, but we experience certain things, and because we can't explain them, we throw them in the box of magic, right? Because if
Right.
you think about it,
Right.
throughout right. I mean, throughout human history, there's been many things that we thought were magic. Like all the way in the beginning, sunrises were magic, right? Every day, I think we were like in awe of the fact that that ball of
Right.
fire and heat and life would
Right.
appear in the sky again.
Right.
And not until we caught up with our science and we understood why,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden it wasn't magic anymore. It became part of our reality. It became
Mm-hmm.
part of our paradigm of how we understand how things work.
Yeah,
So,
and these concepts have been around forever. I mean, in terms of
right,
how we live and breathe and wake up and relate and commune with not only each other but other light beings, plants, trees, animals, the water. I mean,
right,
here in America, there's the long tradition of indigenous people communing and being in this magical state of existence.
right. And you know what? There's actually much more magic in everybody's life than we might even think about. Because if you think about that, magic is anything that we experience, but we can't really explain it. Then what about love?
Oh.
Just think about something simple as love, right? I don't think anybody can deny having experienced love in
Mm.
whatever kind of form. But you try to explain it to me. What is it, right? And how do you do it? And
Right.
where does it come from? And how do you spread it? Or how do you generate it? Or I mean, God,
Right.
our connection to the divine is probably one of the most magical concepts that
Mm-hmm.
we can think of, right? For most of us, it is such a big part of our lives and of something that feels incredibly real
Mm-hmm.
to us,
Right.
but we can't really explain it.
No. And I think that's where, I talk about in my own life and with people who come in contact with Soulivity, I talk about that that living your life is part of having an awareness, right, of the things through reading great books from people or that kind of thing. It comes from this awareness. And there is a part of it where you have to lend yourself over to kind of like faith, like this true
Right,
belief and surrender to the truth about the universe, which you can't know everything. In our human
right,
existence, right?
right.
We can't know all of these things, but we
There's
can
many
know it.
mysteries.
Right, right. And again, isn't that what makes life a little fun? I mean, some of the
Oh, it
challenges and wonders,
does.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
I
Just
want to
look at
yeah,
our
go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was
No,
going
no,
to
no,
say,
go
like,
ahead.
just look at our fascination with magic. I mean, the movies and the books that we all adore and go see, there's so many about magic, and I think the reason why we love it is because it makes us feel that anything is possible, like we can make anything,
Right, right,
right?
right. And speaking of that, I'm glad that you said that because as people know, I read everything, and then there's bits and pieces of the book that kind of stand out for me when I want to have these interviews with people. And there's this one paragraph, it's a little long, people, so just bear with me. Um, its manifestation is the ability to cause and create with intent and conviction, driven by vision and passion, unbound by logic and reason. You go on to say, imagination is the bridge between the subtle realm of multidimensionality and the 3D world where our visions and dreams are created in tangible form. We all are great magicians with the potential to perform powerful magic in perfect alignment with our wildest imaginations. We are the modern Merlin. Modern Merlin, y'all. That shook me to my core because I
Did it?
truly, honestly believe in that. I believe that. I believe that we are always manifesting. We're
Yep.
always manifesting. We may not be conscious of it, but we're
Right,
always manifesting. So, what you're
right.
trying to teach us to do is to become our own modern Merlin, where we actually become aware of that and make different
Right.
decisions about what we want to
Right.
manifest, right? Am I right with that?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's all in our consciousness. I think we are entering a time now in human evolution when we are discovering that our consciousness can go in different layers of reality. And the three-dimensional physical world that we are so used to is just a small part of that, right? So many of us are so used to stay just focused and take note and notion of what's going on physically,
Hmm.
but we haven't really been taught or invited
Okay.
to go inside and tap in to all those subtle things from the multidimensional realm.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So, and our magic comes from our interaction with the multidimensional realm.
Mm,
Like
okay.
once we tap in and become aware of what really is causing the vibration that we send out, because I'm sure that you know as well, and we've kind of caught up with science now that we know that everything is energy, right?
Right.
So we are
Right.
energy as well. Our bodies are energy, our thoughts are energy, our intentions are energy, our words are energy. And all of those things together create that energetic bubble around us
Right.
that is interacting with the universe.
Right. 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 And again, you capture up so much of that in this book with ease. There's some ease in this. That's why I was saying that it's fun. I think I
Oh, I'm
think
so
sometimes,
glad.
yeah, I think sometimes we read some of these books and they can be a little heavy, right? Because there's a
Yes,
lot that we
I
have to
agree.
kind of process and go through, and you make it easy for us
And,
to digest. And coming up, right,
but now we are further along. We evolved. Our consciousness evolved. The world has evolved, and we can take this now further along
right.
where we can get more grip on how to really do it and why it works.
So stay tuned for more Soulivity Weekend. You can find all the Satanic products at our Go shop on Soulivity at go.soulivity.com now. Shop for beauty products, skincare, hair care. It is all there at the Go shop. Go shop Soulivity. And now back to more from Soulivity Weekend. This book seems very personal for you. It
It
seems
is.
personal.
It is.
And I was reading in the book that we kind of share this. We were both very intuitive and very empathetic when we were young, both young.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about how that was for you, because I know for me, a lot of times there was a struggle there because you're just getting
Oh,
all of this emotional energy and energy from things around you, and it could be tough for children to kind of wade through this.
right.
Tell me about that part of your life.
Well, I'm Dutch, so I grew up in the Netherlands, also known as Holland. And Holland is a very small country, and in lots of ways it was very progressive, but in other ways it seemed to be very um, bound, like in boundaries. And I grew up in a family and in a paradigm where there was no awareness of magic. There was no awareness of of all the things, the multidimensional things that we are more aware of now. So as a very intuitive child, I could always tune into people. I could tell when people were hurting. I could tell what was going on with them instantly. I could easily often feel it even in their bodies. I would always feel drawn to put my hand somewhere
Mm.
on a spot on their bodies because it was
Okay.
hurting.
Wow.
Um, and my family, my parents, there was no understanding of that. So if I
Mm.
tried to talk about this or ask questions, I was told always like that I was just imagining things.
Wow.
I would lay in bed at night and I was convinced that there were things in my room. I could hear things,
Right.
I could
Right.
see things, I could sense things. I was terrified as a child
Mm.
because my parents would come into my room, turn the light on, look around, and say, like, there's nothing here. And then they turn the light off, and I'm just laying there thinking, like, I'm crazy. And it was still all there. So
Wow.
it was difficult. It was very difficult. So I hid it. I stopped talking about it and I stopped really, but I was sick a lot. I
Mm.
think it
So you
expressed
in,
itself
so
like,
you in turn you hit it, which means for most of us, like myself, I mean, I had my own health challenges. I think that's true for a lot of children
right.
who are
I think
intuitive, who
so.
kind of push it down. They hide it, but they
Right.
hide it by pushing it down, right?
Right. Yes. And it's got
And
to go somewhere, right? So then that energy gets blocked in your body. So then you're not really flowing. I basically walked around completely tensed all the time, right? Tensed and so um and I lived in an imaginary world. I mentioned this in the book as well. For me, Doctor Who. I don't know if you
oh
have seen the
yeah,
original series of Doctor
yeah,
Who, right?
oh yeah,
I was fascinated with the fact that he would be traveling around in this blue telephone booth that was bigger on the inside than
right,
it was on the outside, right?
right, right, right.
So as a child, I would be laying in bed and I would imagine that as soon as I would put the covers over my head, that under my covers, it would open up into this huge space where I would be living. And I had like pet animals there, and my bed was like this flying bed. I could go anywhere in the world and I could visit any place and I would be safe.
Mm.
And that became my reality, my place of safety where I could just imagine anything.
Right, right, right,
Right.
right. You know, we
And
share
it
a lot
took,
of that. We share a lot
do
of
we?
that.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
I'm sure this is actually a story for a lot of people, like sensitives, and what we call maybe now we call them maybe psychics, but back then, and I never call myself a psychic. I just call myself like I'm a sensitive. I'm just sensitive.
yeah, because I think
Um,
I think maybe they're two they can be construed as a couple of different things. I think
right,
I like the sensitive, right? Where we have a natural inclination to sense energy around us. I'm pretty
right.
sure that it doesn't necessarily just have to be from people. It can be in certain experiences. Maybe you're in the forest or by the beach
Yep,
or in
yep,
and you can pick up on the energy.
yep.
One more question around this, and then I want to kind of turn because there's a reason why I'm asking you about this. During your teenage years, was was even more so challenging, right? I mean, this is the big cognitive
Right,
expansion, right? You're going through
right,
adolescence and puberty, and all these different things are happening. And on top of that, you're having to keep this mechanism of hiding your
right.
intuitiveness and your sensitivity. Tell me a little bit about how that was for you.
Well, I became very rebellious. At some point, I dyed my hair black. I went through a period of just rebelling, and like I just tried to protect myself. I put an armor around me, and I had a hard time making connections. I mean, people
Mm,
usually wanted to be around me because I was attractive and because I was creative. I was talented, but I couldn't really talk about what was really going on. So it was really confusing because I,
mm,
I, I tried to fit in and just felt like I felt fake all the time. I felt very fake, like
Mm.
very unreal. And I felt um, that there was something wrong with me. For the longest time, I felt like there is something wrong with me. And I didn't know how to fix it because I didn't even know how to explain what exactly was going on.
Right.
So
Right.
the only defense mechanism that I had was to get physically sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you say
Mm-hmm.
I have a headache, I don't want to go,
Right. Right.
something like that.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so it took me until my late 20s when I started traveling outside of my country, and I came across other people in the English language that
Mm-hmm.
talked. They mentioned, I will never forget this. They started talking about things like aura and energy.
Right.
And all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, there is a vocabulary around this.
Right.
Like I was like in awe, and they recognized me. They told me like, you have a gift. And all of
Right.
a sudden what I thought was a curse became a gift. Or at
Right.
least it became the potential of being a gift.
And
Um
and
yeah,
you and part of this, because there's the piece that where you were able to travel, right? And there was this other piece, right, where you discovered graphic design, this artistic creative thing, right?
right. Yes.
I, so here's an outlet, right? Here's the first
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
piece where you're like, okay, I don't necessarily have to hide all this anymore. I know what this is really about, and I can express it through this medium, right? Tell
Right.
us a little bit about that too, because I think, again, I think as people go through life, God, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, right? If you're asking in prayer or in meditation or whatever for answers, the answers can show up in unique and special ways. And I truly
Right.
believe that this was one of them for you. So tell us about that
Oh,
process.
for sure. Yeah. Well, I went to art school because I was always drawing and I was always putting things together, like harmonizing my environment, because I intuitively know how to make things work together, whether that is in emotions in people or in my environment. So I ended up going to art school in graphic design and felt really at home there. Because when people would tell me their vision, I could easily imagine that, and I could feel it was easy to be just guided to where they wanted to go with that. And then the big change for me happened like in the 90s when I came across crop circle design. I came
Oh,
across pictures of crop circles, and I don't know if people has ever seen it, but those are usually very intrinsic mathematical designs, beautifully made,
oh,
right? And the moment I saw that, there was something inside of me that just went. I felt like I was in the candy store. I'm like, oh, why don't we do something with this? So
wow.
I started taking those crop circle designs and put them in line art and color them in like like a coloring picture. Right. Yes. Yes. And I started discovering that I can express concepts that way. And
Okay.
then later on, I discovered that I can express people that way. Like
Wow.
I can take a concept or a person and then I can make it into a picture like this. Like what does somebody look like? What do they
Right.
look like? What do they feel
Right.
like to me on a soul level?
Beautiful.
Um,
Beautiful.
right.
Beautiful. I mean,
And
yeah,
from
go ahead.
oh, I was going to say from there, this all developed into me trying to understand what this bizarre, mysterious, magical gift was that I had, that I could create these pictures, these mandalas, and people were so touched by them.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so eventually I put it all together in my understanding of how it all works,
Mm-hmm.
and that is now the result is Modern Merlin, the book where it just ties. all my experiences, all my knowledge, all the work that I've done, all the developments that I've been going through, and putting it together in a workable model that encompasses all aspects,
Mm-hmm.
our emotional, physical, spiritual, mental aspects, and into a model that makes sense so we can navigate our life with more ease and create
Wow.
harmony and balance.
Wow.
And I'm so glad that you said that it was fun and easy to read, because I am all about simplicity. I want to take the really mysterious out of the mystical. I
Yes.
think we need to bring it down to normal language.
Yes.
When somebody says like, "Oh, we can manifest this," it's like, "What do you mean by
What do you
that?
mean?
And
Yeah,
how
what do
does
you
it
mean by
work?"
that? Right? Because I think,
Right,
again, magic and manifestation, you still have this almost like wizard kind of thing where it's like this, oh
right,
well, what do you mean? It's still not real. It's still not tangible, right? Where I look at it like you're 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 giving us the information in here by having us walk through it through baby steps. And along the way, you're manifesting, you're seeing this magic happen, right?
right. We've been talking about manifestation for a while, and I think the book The Secret was did such a fantastic job in bringing us on that track of realizing like what was possible, right?
Right.
But I don't think that they really tied it together at the
Right.
time as a how. It stayed, at least in my opinion, it stayed very um, it
Philosophical.
stayed in theory. Right. It was philosophical, it was in theory, and it was absolutely true.
Right.
But now we are further along. We evolved. Our consciousness evolved, the world has evolved, and we can take this now further along
Right.
where we can get more grip on how to really do it and why it works. Because if we understand the why, we're going to trust it, we're going to believe it, and it's going to be easier to practice it.
Right. 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 Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And
Right.
again, I think that all this was divine. People have to kind of they have to get into the concept of the waters of universal principles and spirituality
Right.
and manifestation
Yeah.
and right. But now you're talking about in here, you got to dive in. Or at least you got to
Yeah.
wade out, right? Wade into the water and then learn how to
Right.
swim in it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And coming up,
Invite you to see that often the way we experience things, it's in our it's in our perspective. So it's not even like whether it
whew,
happened or didn't happen. It has to do with how you looked at it.
so stay tuned for more Soulivity Weekend.
Life is full of moments. And when sickness breaks your momentum, from the 5 a.m. stomach bug, or stress and anxiety at work, don't forget you have Teladoc. Great care options by phone, video, or app. 24/7 access to doctors. And access to therapists 7 days a week. From anywhere you are. Day or night. Whatever it is, we're always ready to help. So you can get back to enjoying life's best moments faster. Life is good. Enjoy it well.
Visit a doctor today without even leaving your home. For as little as $19.95 per month for a family plan, you get access to board-certified physicians as often as you need it. And there's $0 for medical visits anytime, anywhere. Register now by visiting soulivity.com/health perks. That's soulivity.com/health perks. And now back to more from Soulivity Weekend.
Yeah.
Um, you have this book so beautifully organized in three parts, which I, again, like I was saying before, which I think is absolutely perfect. The first part is found called Foundations. Can you tell us a little bit about what what you mean by that? And everybody, listen, you got to go out and get the book after December 7th when it goes on shelves to read
Yes.
more depth
Yes.
around what we're talking about.
Right.
But I wanted to at least give people kind of like
Right.
these pieces, because you say in the book, listen, if you understand what I'm talking about at this level, then you'll be able to really gain and really grasp the entirety of the book better. So the first one's
Yes.
Foundations.
Foundations. Well, foundations are important in anything that we want to create. I mean, if you think about it, whether you want to build a house or you want to build a pizza, you're going to start at the bottom, at the basis. And you want to make that basis and foundation really strong so you can build whatever you want on top of it. Like with a house, for instance, you want to make sure that it's strong enough so that it can not only hold the structure that you envision right
Hmm.
now, but that you can grow with it. So
Yeah.
that when you're growing, that you can put extensions on your house, right? And
Right.
you can
Right.
change it.
Right.
So it's the same with a paradigm or a belief system. If we want to have a paradigm, and a paradigm is basically our understanding of how things work, right?
Hmm.
How the world works, how we and the world and the universe work together. So if we're going to change the paradigm, we're going to have to start with the foundations of that paradigm. If we're going to work with how to change our lives and our reality, or the way we experience our reality,
Hmm.
we have to start looking at, like, what is reality?
Right.
I mean, if we're going to change it, then we're going to have to start with, like, well, what is it? How do you create it? And how do you change it?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So there's
Right.
a lot of concepts that are very fundamental to our understanding of the world around us, and even of who we are as people, right? And how things are the way they are, why certain things happen to us, why other things don't happen to us,
Right.
right?
Right.
Why so we look at the fundamental parts. So we look at, like, concept as like time. And I think time is a great example, because everybody right now is saying, like, it seem that time is like freaking flying by, right? I mean, it's
Right.
going so fast. So the question is, like, what is going on with time and our perception of time? So we have to dive in to really understand time and our relationship with it.
Right. Right. Right.
So time is fundamental, right?
Yeah. And
Fundamental to our world.
yeah. And again, I mean,
Another
yeah. And these are those things, right? I mean, these are these basic foundational kind of concepts that if
right,
we don't, if when we have then a understanding and expanding understanding of them, because you're giving us our first endeavors into it, which which is ever going to grow. We're going to ever increase our awareness and knowledge of these foundations because of what you're saying, right?
absolutely,
We're
absolutely,
able to
yeah,
move into uncovering and utilizing our power, right? We can wield
right,
our power.
yeah, yeah,
um The next one is a very important one. I like it a lot because it's all about you, right? It's all about us, right?
right,
Learning
yes,
the again, the foundational things about how we fit, how we as individuals, as souls fit in this dynamic of wielding our
right.
power. Tell us a little bit about that aspect of it.
Yeah, so you are at the core of your experience of your life. So we have to dive into what creates that experience, and what role you play in the unfolding of your life. So what's showing up in your life, who is showing up in your life. So we're going to dive into concepts as the soul. I mean, we all talk about it. Everybody all over the world has some kind of an idea or belief about what the soul is. But what do we mean by that? And how is it showing up in why is it important in what unfolds in our life? That is one aspect, for instance. The other things are let's see the stories and the beliefs that we have,
Right.
right? That's
Right.
because we all tell stories of, you even asked me, like, tell me your story of how you grew up. How did you get from who you were to who you are now? So that's the story. So we have to become aware of the story that we tell and make sure that the story that we tell is actually one that we like and that we love.
Right.
And if there's things in it that we don't like, then we gotta start digging for, how do we change that story,
Woo. Woo.
right?
See.
I
I
know,
told
it's fun
y'all. I
stuff.
told you guys. I said this is a pop. This is some power right here. This is power right here.
Yes,
It's fun and it's some power in there. I mean, because we all have had challenging experiences in going in our life, right? Especially that were made when we were young. I mean, when we came into this experience, there were things that we were socialized into believing by our parents, who were doing the best that they could, right, in the moment.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, but we were socialized to believing that. Well, guess what? Even in that experience, there is this perfection, and there's a question I'm going to ask you later about that. But there's this perfection that's there, that as we as we're digging into this part, right, that is not something that you just snap and it just happens, right? But
Mm-mm.
as you
No.
dig in it, and you utilize a resource like this, that you start discovering that, wow, if that didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened. And I wouldn't have discovered this, and I wouldn't expand it here, and I wouldn't have found this joy and this love and this happiness,
Right.
and that all, and you can go back to that moment and go, oh,
Right.
it wasn't the
And
universe punishing me. There was perfection in that. There's a lesson.
yeah.
There's this playground that I had to learn how to play, and I wouldn't have learned how to play if that
Right.
experience hadn't happened. But go ahead.
And I'd like to even take it one step further, because you
Okay,
say, like,
good.
if
I love it.
that happened to me or that didn't happen to me, I'd like to um, invite you to see that often the way we experience things, it's in our it's in our perspective. So it's not even like whether it
Woo.
happened or didn't happen. It has to do with how you looked at it.
Yes.
So even if something happened that you remember as being incredibly traumatic or sad, you can still go back, look at it again, find the treasure in the
Woo.
challenges, find the
Mm,
opportunities for learning, and change your perspective about that event. And
mm.
when you change your perspective, it changes everything about you,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's bravo. That is exactly it. Because again, it's I like to use this as where we change from things are happening to us to they're happening through
I like that. Yeah,
us,
beautiful.
right?
Yeah,
Through us, right?
yeah,
We and all we have to do
yes,
is learn how to turn the switch from
right,
from being something that we're reacting to life, right, to us living through life, right? And we're just
right.
making this turn.
Yes.
And you have to have the knowledge and skills to be able to do that on a consistent basis. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. Woo, we're on
It
fire
takes
today.
practice,
Oh yeah,
right? It takes practice, like
absolutely.
anything else.
Yeah, I mean,
Consciousness is like, it's like a muscle. right? The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Just like a muscle,
Wow.
it takes
Wow.
practice.
The last one is again, and we're kind of, edging on it as we're talking, having this discussion, and that is our life, right? Our life,
Right.
right? Learning
Yes.
these skills, this information, foundational things about how that works. Tell us, encapsulate for us, what do you mean by that when the part three of Modern Merlin is talking about your life? What do you mean by that?
Okay. Well, in part one, we looked at the foundations. So first, we looked at all the concepts that help us to build an understanding of how things work, right? And in part two, we looked at everything that had to do with us and the things that we believe and the stories that we tell and the parts of us that are beyond our three-dimensional form, the parts of us that are maybe entangled with the divine and that
Mm,
help us to perform our magic, because we can be in co-creation that way with the divine or with the universe. So in part three, we're going to put those parts together, part one and part two, and we're going to get really practical. We're going to look at, like, on a daily basis, how do we stay in tune with what's going on? Like, how do we become aware of what's going on with our energy, for instance. So I give you really easy steps on how to learn, how to
okay.
just do a quick tune on to see
Hmm.
if whatever you're doing is giving you energy, if it's taking energy, or if it's neutral, for instance. What to do when you find yourself stressed or when you find yourself fearful, and basically to learn how um, to use our emotions as a navigational system to help us to see where to go and what to
Mm,
create more of.
wow.
So I always say, like, follow your joy. If something makes you happy, do more of it. If something doesn't make you happy, stop doing it. Right?
Isn't it?
Really that simple.
It's
It's really simple,
again. I
actually.
mean, it's so funny how a lot of this stuff is a lot of the things that we learn. There's a very simple
Right.
meaning, right? This is very simple. The
Yeah.
complexity comes in walking the walk every single day. I mean, and there's different things because things are
Yes.
happening around us and we're learning to experience things
Yeah.
through our life experience and that kind of thing. But the quote unquote rule or the quote unquote guideline or the principle or whatever you want to call it is always simple. It's always
It is.
simple. It's always
Yeah.
simple. Um,
Yeah.
I only have one more question for you, unfortunately.
Yes. Ah.
Um, and it kind of touches upon like the beauty of for me the importance of doing this work, right? Doing this work within ourselves and having this commune with our experience, right? And it's in the afterwards, and you say the human journey is one of perfect imperfection. It is all part of being an energetic being in a physical body on earth. We are all here to learn and to become more expanded versions of ourselves, infinitely unfolding, continuously exploring, endlessly discovering and expanding until we transition out of our physical bodies and return to source. And the final thing is, if we knew how to do everything, we would not need to be here on earth in the first place. And we surely wouldn't need to read a book like this. Woo!
Yes.
I almost like you
Yes.
can just put that like right here in on the front, and so that people can
Right.
kind of like, hey, you need to read this because of this.
Yeah.
Such,
And
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I want people also to understand that I understand how this works, and I have a large toolbox, and I know where to look. But I have days where I'm very ungraceful in all of this as well, right? Yes, high five to that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly. I
seriously,
mean,
yeah. Absolutely. I
Even,
think
even, even that I know that I should be, that meditation is good for me, right? I still have days where I just don't get to it. I skip it, and
right, right,
right.
right. And I mean,
So,
and that's the and that's what I think when you're talking, when you're talking about this journey, right? Again, you're talking about we're spiritual beings living a human experience in this, so we're going from a realm where there is no time to a realm where there is
right,
linear time and
right.
imperfection, right?
Yes, yes.
And in that there is perfect imperfection for us to learn. So
Yes.
my last question for you is, from your perspective and all the knowledge and experience that you've gained across this life's journey, what's one way, just one simple way, outside of people buying the book, because you got to go out and buy the book, that people can start to tap into the truth of being in and living through perfect imperfection?
Um, I would say the most valuable thing that you can do is just to take a couple of minutes or moments away from all the noise in your life, and maybe turn off the TV and turn off your social media, and just sit with yourself and
Mm,
just take a breath and go
mm,
inside and just see what comes up, because often we are not even aware what's going on inside, because we are constantly distracted by everything in the external world.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
unless we start tapping into, right, those feelings, those thoughts, like anything, just notice what comes up. Maybe there's one thought that just jumps up right away. So I would say, if everybody would just do that, spend a little bit more time by yourself and just listen,
Wow.
look. And you can do that anywhere, right? You
Yeah.
don't need tools, you don't need anything fancy
Yeah.
for that.
Thank you for being here. This always
Oh,
go by
thank you
too
for
quick. It always goes by
I
too
know,
quick.
it really
Would you come
does.
back? Would
It
you
just
come
flies
back?
by. I would love to come back. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. I'm
Yes.
locking
I'd
you
love to
in
come
now
back.
because I gotta have people like
Okay.
magical people like you come back into my world.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I would love to come back and dive in deeper, or maybe we can even ask people what they want us to talk about in that book, right?
Absolutely. That would be great. That would be absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, maybe yeah, we'll try to do that. We'll try to get people
Okay.
engaged next time. All right. Thank you again for
Yes.
being here. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be back with more Soulivity Weekend in a moment. Stay tuned for more Soulivity Weekend. Soulivity Magazine and Beyond Words Publishing want to remind you about the importance of continuing to follow public health guidelines to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Please continue to wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. Please visit these sites for further information about how to stay safe from COVID-19 into the new year. Remember, love protects us. And now back to more from Soulivity Weekend. And welcome back to Soulivity Weekend. Skincare is one of those things that all of us can overlook sometimes as being part of our overall wellness practice. Here's a segment from our own editor-at-large, D'Angelo Thompson, talking about the importance of skincare and how it can help us grow and stay motivated every single day. Enjoy.
Hey guys, this is D'Angelo Thompson, the host of Beauty and Gratitude on Soulivity TV, Soulivity.com, and Soulivity Magazine. And thank you for tuning in on Fridays to check out what I'm talking about at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to take these off because I want to continue to talk about beauty. Another little beauty moment, a beauty tip or a beauty bite, whatever you want to call it. You know, throughout the day, especially in the fall and winter, I find that my skin starts to feel and look dry. No matter how much I moisturize and saturate my skin with serums and moisturizer or natural organic coconut oil, etc., which I talked about in another beauty bite. I happen to like Mario Badescu. Their skincare is a facial aloe rose water. Even just fresh rose water, I love with like spring water and rose water mixed together. Just, a little bit. It gives, as you can see, a quick glow to the skin. Also, it hydrates. And not only just spraying water, rose water in the face, but also drinking it is very important. I gave myself a task with a class I took to drink more water was one of my goals, and some other things as well. But I wanted to do 70 to 80 ounces a day. And it really makes a difference. I felt a difference in my body. Even though I was running to the bathroom a lot, I still felt better. My skin was looking better. I had more clarity in my eyes. They weren't like so red. They were bright white, which I'm used to seeing, especially when I was younger in my eyes. And I find that the more water I drank, the better I felt, the flatter my stomach was, and so many other things. So hydrating within and without with things like the Mario Badescu Rose Water, just so you can see that. And again, I'm going to hit myself one more time with this. I love it. And it smells good, and that's part of aromatherapy, not only to relax you, but the smell can relax you and really soothe you, especially if you're having a stressful day. Another thing I love is like essential oils, like fig oil. I love the smell of fig oil. It reminds me of just being in another country, near the coast. The smell of like figs and ocean kind of mixed together can be a very beautiful thing. I buy organic ones online, and I just love the smell of it. And sometimes I'll just like dab it and like, put it on my body or over my sweater or something, or a shirt I have on, just to get a whiff of it. In the summer, I'll mix it with shea butter and fig oil. I'll mix it together, and I normally put the shea butter oil on, or shea butter with the fig oil together. And it's also like shea butter is a natural sunscreen, and the fig oil just is a beautiful scent. And together, once that catches the wind, guys, watch out. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, they will come to the yard, as they say. The smell is so good. So something to try with essential oils. It's very calming and relaxing. You can do that with lavender. You can do that with eucalyptus. And there are hundreds of essential oils on the market that you can explore. So, and a lot of them are used in aromatherapy. This is the main reason I'm talking about like rose water, fig oil, eucalyptus, lavender. So it's a way to calm yourself. I'm a big component of CBD oil. I love it. It worked for me, especially in 2020. I was finding that with everything that was going on, it was hard for me to sleep. There was 1 or 2 weeks, and I'm not going to recount the reason why. I think most of you know, if you were aware in 2020. I could not sleep. And what I started researching CBD lines that could help with sleep or calm or anxiety, whatever you want to call it. And I found a few brands. One is Brown Girl Jane, which is a beautiful brand by these 3 young African-American women who created this during 2020. And it was a lifesaver for me. One, I bought the one for sleep, and I bought the one for balance. And they both worked perfectly and as I needed. The balance one I used during the day, the sleep one I used at night, and literally I would fade off to sleep in about 30 minutes. It's, as you can see, I'm in a hotel room and I'm not, I'm traveling right now. I forgot to bring one of them with me. So I think I may order it just to have, this project's almost over, but to remember when I travel to actually bring it with me. So it really helps with sleep and calm and all those things. So something to consider, Brown Girl Jane. You can find that online. And then there's the House of Julie. Giovanni Davis is a good dear friend of mine, and this one's called Sunrise. Rise, Refresh, Renew. I'll show you here. House of Julie. You can find online. And this is another great CBD product. And really pay attention, guys, to how many ounces or drops it tells you to use. If it says 25, then just only put 25 in there. Normally there's measurements on the side, if you can see here. Okay. There's normally measurements on the side of it that tells you how much to use, and then the information's on the back as far as what it does for you. So, and just make sure you don't have an allergy to any of the things I'm recommending. Some people do have allergies to roses, so be careful. Some people do have allergies to natural oils like fig, etc. I don't. I'm so thankful. I remember many years ago working at Neiman Marcus in their fragrance department. I think I worked there for about a year, close to 2 years, and I ran that department very well and brought the numbers up like double digits in percentages. And the brands loved me, from Chanel to Hermes, the obscure brands, you name it, and they showed me their appreciation. And I'll never forget that experience. And then I moved into beauty in the Neiman Marcus in San Francisco, and that was really, my career really kicked off then, because I started doing more freelance, more photo shoots, and really just honing in on my skills. So during that time, I was so thankful. I knew I had allergies, but I didn't know how good or bad they were. Well, they weren't that bad because I worked around fragrance that I was spraying every day. And I was drawn to fragrance that had more, true essential oils, true infused perfume in them. And the ones with the more alcohol, synthetic smells, I would kind of veer away from. I had a buddy there that sold a certain brand, I won't say the name, and I would help him sell it, but it wasn't one of my favorites. And we sold tons. I mean, just together, the yin and the yang, we sold tons of it, but I found that I was more prone to, sadly to say, the more expensive brands that had a little more hair to them, not as synthetic as and lab made as some of the other larger brands. I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, find out if you have any allergies before you commit to any kind of essential oil. And a CBD as well. I love CBD, and like I said, it helps me with sleep and calm and anxiety if you have it. I don't, but I experienced it last year. I didn't understand what it was until I started researching. So CBD oil, natural oils, things that really can bring you calm and solace in your life. So that's a Beauty Bite. So thank you guys for tuning in to Beauty and Gratitude as well. And I'll see you here on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and look forward to more amazing guests. And if you haven't watched season 1 and 2, you can find it on Soulivity TV. I have amazing guests from the past as well. So from fashion designers to shoe designers, perfumers, and there's articles on Soulivity.com and also Soulivity TV. There's great articles about a variety of things. So we appreciate you, and thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.
Stay tuned for more Soulivity Weekend. You can find all the Satonic products at our Go shop on Soulivity at go.soulivity.com now. Shop for beauty products, skincare, hair care. It is all there at the Go shop. Go shop Soulivity. And now back to more from Soulivity Weekend. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's Soulivity Weekend. We have even more great segments to help you stay grounded and help you keep moving forward and staying passionate, purposeful, and creating your best life right now. So until next week, on behalf of everyone here at Soulivity, this is Brian Westley Johnson saying thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Bye. Follow us on social media for giveaways, events, and a whole lot more.